All right, welcome back. We've got 1 hour of something I'm really excited to show you here with version 10, and then we'll go to lunch. So we've been working, as I said, really hard on version 10 for many, many man years. And as you can imagine, we put our heart and soul into this. We've thought a lot about what could even be possible just a few years ago, and we realized none of this was possible. This is really 12 years of our experience in higher education combined with the most modern web technologies that are available to us today. So we really pushed the envelope and did everything we could. And even a year or a year and a half ago, what I'm about to show you wouldn't have been possible at all. This is very, very exciting for us. I wanted to talk just for a moment about our design philosophy here, because we've been building this product for a long, long time, and we've stuck true to various different philosophies in terms of how we build the product, how we deploy the product, how we train people on the product, and so forth. And this all fed back into our design philosophy for version 10 itself. And I wanted to share that with you because I thought it was really important. We stuck with 3 key tenets that we built into our entire design process, and we stuck to throughout all of it. The first is that we wanted to dramatically improve usability without changing the user experience. This was key, and we've heard this from you all for so many years as we've done upgrades and so forth. You want us to iterate, you want us to hold true to some of the things that you love about OU Campus. You don't want to have to retrain people. So we wanted to improve the usability dramatically without changing the user experience. And I think we've done that. The second thing is we wanted to make it as fast and as responsive to the touch as a desktop application. And this is definitely one of those areas that wouldn't have been possible just a couple of years ago. So we're really excited about this too. And then the third tenet was to create an open-ended platform for the entire OmniUpdate community to build upon. This was the most ambitious thing of all, because while we had these great technologies at our fingertips that would allow us to do the things in the number 1 and number 2, number 3 was really all up to us. We had to figure out a way to open up the product to a larger community of all of you. So what I wanted to talk about is how we did that from the ground up. Starting with the database layer, we inspected every element to make it better, to make it faster, and to stick with our 3 tenets. In the data storage layer, where a lot of things are going on that you never see, there's things that we pioneered years ago that have given us a huge advantage over the last 10, 12 years. But we found out ways we could make it even better. I'm talking, of course, about the fact that we take the database, separate it from the file store, and create this fusion storage system that has served us so well. Well, we found ways to make it even better. And we've done some caching and some various different techniques that we didn't even know we could do to make it faster. Then the next layer up, of course, is the application layer. And this is where all the functionality in OU Campus lives. This is where all the features, and whenever we're building, we're mostly building here. We might tweak the bottom layer, but in version 10, we took it all apart and figured out ways to put it back together, including the application layer. So we really dissected every line of code in OU Campus and figured out how to squeeze every bit more out of it than we ever had before. And the application layer is a huge workhorse engine, of course, so every improvement here pays off in spades when you use the product. Then there's the user interface layer. And in the user interface layer, we embraced HTML5. And this was a huge, huge lift for us because we've shied away from it until now. We've been afraid that we would rock the boat a little bit in the browser world. We didn't want to leave anybody behind. But now every major browser supports it, and OU Campus, of course, degrades gracefully if it doesn't. So if you've got some laggards using something that doesn't support HTML5, you're still okay. But the good news is we finally have got this super modern UI that is just as responsive to the touch as an application. We've pulled out all the stops here, taking advantage of WebSockets, SVG, the ability to drag and drop, drag from the desktop, using all the specialty APIs that are available to us now. And the browsers have really come a long way just in the last 2 years to allow us to do this. The other thing is this extensibility, this open community. Well, this is where the APIs come in. The APIs are the thing that allow us to effectively separate the user experience layer from the application layer. This opened up a whole new world for us because it means not only can we do this by adding new types of top-level interface application layer products, but so can you. And this opened up a lot of different discussions and a lot of different ways that we could do it in the product, external to the product, in mobile devices, and a lot of different ways. So what we decided to do was open up these APIs to all of you. And this would make it possible for you to build a larger ecosystem and a tremendous value perhaps to your own institutions and share that with other institutions. So I wanted to show you the top 10 things that we think you'll love in version 10. And the first is, of course, the complete user interface refresh. Again, one of those tenets was to really keep that same user experience. So it's truly a refresh. You're going to notice when I show you this, how everything lines up. Everything is really as it always has been, but it's so much better. And here's what it looks like. So you can see it's a clean new design, but everything is virtually in the same place. You've got that big green publish button where you want it, where you expect it, where it always has been. You've got the ability to edit sections with the green buttons, but you've got this clean UI. Let me break this down. Modern, clean design. We're using user avatars for the first time. Now this is kind of cute, right? But it's actually incredibly valuable because in workflow and when you're selecting users and you're dealing with hundreds, in some cases, some of you have over 1,000 users in the system, it's really great to be able to see an avatar of that person as well. So it helps in so many different areas of the system, which I'll show you. There's no more frames in version 10. Everything is Ajax. We're using a single page paradigm and no frames. It allows us to do so many things that we just always had trouble with because of those darn frames. Fewer clicks. Things are now accessible directly that used to take 2 or 3 clicks. Again, they might be in the exact same place. They might look the same to your users. You might even be able to click and get to the same thing that you always have, but you're just going to do fewer of them to get it. For example, in this case, selecting from a new template is as easy as finding it in a list rather than having to click and then open up the template. Tree view navigation is now possible. So the left navigation that we've always had in the product just got a lot smarter. It's still there, but it's a lot smarter. And it allows you to click into the little triangles just to the left of any folder and expand those folders without ever reloading the page. So it's faster, it's more intuitive, and it offers us some really interesting tricks. And finally, consistent window design. So we got a lot of feedback over the years that our windows were inconsistent, that there were a lot of things that were confusing you in training, and is the OK button or the cancel button or the publish button in a different place every time, and it got to be a mess. So in taking it all apart and putting it back together again, we were just able to clean up all of those little things to everyone's advantage. Oh, and there's one more thing. We made it a lot faster. Version 10 is up to 10 times faster for commonly used operations. And you'll be amazed at how this single page design has really helped speed it up in so many different ways. Plus all the work we did at the database layer and the application layer to afford this level of speed improvement. So you're going to love how fast and responsive it is. Number 2 is the new dashboard. We didn't just make it look better, we made it really useful. So now you've got things like current pages, your inbox, and activity feed in these really slick lists that you can configure and modify yourself. You can see inbox, activities, and more. And you can customize this so administrators can see various things in their dashboard that your other users don't see. And get this, we've now integrated Google Analytics directly into the dashboard. So if you're using Google Analytics, yeah, you've got site-wide analytics right here in the dashboard. How cool is that? And of course, this gives you some granularity because now perhaps you've got somebody on campus who always has access to Google Analytics and a half a dozen people that are just always asking for something. Well, now you can give it to them without ever giving them the Google Analytics itself because you can just drop it in as an object here into the dashboard for them and let them see what they need to see and configure this to their specific needs as well if you want to. So Google Analytics built directly into the dashboard. Okay, number 3 is drag and drop. Drag and drop is amazing in version 10 because now it gives you the ability to drag files and folders and all these things that you would normally do file operations for naturally, as if it's a desktop application. You can see here in this case that we're looking at dragging a couple of folders and a file and moving it into a resources folder, and it's just as easy as that. You can drag files into folders. You can drag folders into folders. You can drag multiple files and folders at the same time. And you can drag between the main content window and the tree view, which opens up some interesting possibilities because the tree view can expand to show very deeply nested folders. You can drag and drop all between those. Really, really great. Okay, number 4 is drag from desktop. Again, even more application-like. You're always dragging things, pictures in and out of Word documents or whatever you're working on. Why not do that directly in OU Campus? Well, now we can. Dragging directly from the desktop is one of the greatest new features in version 10. Simply drag and drop to upload a file is as easy as that. Very, very cool. Yeah. You can drag web pages, you can drag images and binaries, and you can drag things into, for example, galleries and more. And I'll show you this in just a minute. Number 5 is multi-channel analytics. So we just showed how Google Analytics is now integrated into the dashboard, but we can do much more. You know, as a CMS, we know a lot about what's going on with your web pages. And of course, Google knows a lot about what's going on with your public viewing those web pages. But there's a lot of intersection points in between, including there's other channels that you're interested in these days. So social media, for example. So we can now do a lot directly in the CMS by bringing analytics in as a primary citizen of the product. So here's an example. Notice we've got things like straight Google Analytics, new and returning visitors, visitors by city. But we've got Twitter activity, Facebook activity, because we know what pages are pointing back to your pages. As you're publishing out a page and tweeting about it, that is always tracked then and filtered in and brought into, we're using SVG for the display in here to show you all of that as a big mashup. And check this out. Since last publish is up here, right? Well, that's because we know when your page was last published. So we can graph and show you things, not just by day and by month and typical Google Analytics features, but by information that only the CMS knows about what you're doing on the web. This is something nobody else offers that we know of. Here's an example of page views by version. Every version, every time you've modified that page, it's tracked against the Google Analytics. Here's Twitter activity, Facebook activity, and these graphs are interactive, so very application-like and very simple for your end users to get the information that you want them to have. And a mashup of Google, Twitter, Facebook, all in one view is a perfect complement to everything that your users are looking for today in terms of understanding what they're doing and the effects of that. And of course, you can configure this so that only the people that you want to have this information can have it. And they can have it at the page view, they can have it at the site view, and of course you can control access to pages. So you put all this together and it gives you a lot of granularity in what you can give them. You've got site-wide and page-level analytics, and you've got activity by page versioning, which is really cool. Okay, number 6 is notifications. We've built this powerful notification system into the product. We've used lightweight notification for years in terms of an email type flow so that as you're publishing pages and approving pages, you can see those. But we expanded that dramatically to allow notifications of all sorts of different activity that might be going on in the product, giving you a heads up of what's going on as it's happening. An example of that is here, showing in the dashboard, we now have a little badge showing you that you have some new activity in there. Perhaps it's a new email. So email notifications, workflow notifications as things get completed, system notifications, perhaps you're working on something a little more substantial, a site-wide publish. You want to know when that's done. You can work on other things in the meantime. The notification system ties all this together and gives you this heads-up display at all times. Next, number 7 is actions tracking. Actions tracking is also something that we've gotten a lot of feedback over the years. You wanted the system to track everything that's going on at all times, and we've done that in version 10. And here's a simple example of what that might look like, showing you pages that have been edited, deleted, moved, renamed, users added, users deleted, etc. In fact, actions tracking on files includes saves, publishes, move, revert, and many other things. But now we have actions tracking for things that you delete, whether they're files or users or groups or sites, tracking all of that. Things you've added, again, whether they're files, users, groups, sites, modify, move, rename, change, all tracked now and all simply displayed to you both in the dashboard and in other parts of the system that I'll show you in a moment. All right, number 8 is binary management. Binary management becomes a reality in version 10. Now I know that some of you are already beta testing binary management in version 9, and that beta process will continue until we release version 10 this summer. But we're really excited about binary management, and it just flows seamlessly into all the other things we're doing in version 10. So here's what it looks like. Binaries are now a first-class citizen on the staging server, meaning you can publish, you can schedule, you can send binaries for workflow, you can do all of these things now directly in OU Campus version 10. Versioning, workflow, and publishing of binaries, just to name a few. Number 9 is APIs. So as I mentioned, we're really excited about this. This opens up a tremendous amount of value to all of you, and it allows us to do some things that were difficult for us to do before without changing versions and continuing to do upgrades. Here's how it works. So APIs allow us and you to develop new features quickly. You can connect to external applications more easily. They're modularized, they're clean, they're easy to understand and use. And if you're a developer, you're going to love them because you'll be able to add your own new features. So that's APIs. Number 10 is gadgets. So what are gadgets? Gadgets are something brand new that is a mashup of some of the concepts that I've already talked about, and they offer huge, huge value in ways that I don't even think we've fully comprehended yet. Gadgets are built using the new APIs. So again, simple, modular, to add things to the system, and we call them gadgets if they're added in directly. They're contextual if you want them to be. So if you're in one part of the system, you might have a gadget that's appropriate for actions that you want to take in one part of the system. For instance, while you're editing a page, you might have a set of gadgets that you can use right there. They can be for content editors, or they can be for administrators, so that you can do administrative features in the product as well. And you can customize them and configure them to your own specific needs, even if you didn't build them, even if you don't have control over the API or you're not a developer. And over a dozen gadgets will be included in the version 10 release. Here's what they look like in one respect. Off to the right, I've got a little pull-out tab that shows me some functionality that I didn't have before. I don't have to go hunt them down in menus. I don't have to be retrained because they're right there in front of me. And they're something kind of neat. We think you're going to love these gadgets. We already do. So, version 10 coming this summer. to recap the 10 things we love most about version 10, the user interface refresh, the new dashboard, drag and drop, drag from desktop, multi-channel analytics, including site-wide analytics in the dashboard, notifications, robust notification system throughout, actions tracking, tracking every action throughout the system, binary management, binaries now first-class citizens, APIs to expand the community of developers and allow you to do things with OU Campus that you weren't able to do before, and gadgets, some pre-built great functionality that your users can take advantage of and that you can add to through the APIs as well. And there's over 150 improvements, enhancements, and new features in version 10. So it's a big one. And if you'd like, I'll give you a demo of it right now. So here we are back at Galena University. And I'm going to log in as I always do, because it's my favorite way, to log in down here using the last updated date stamp. And I'm going to click, and I'm going to log in to the new version 10. And here we go. Now, you can see right away this whole clean new look to the whole design. Things are laid out in the same fashion, but they're just a little bit crisper, a little bit more intuitive, and just made this so much better. So here I am, as I always would be, on the page that I'm about to edit, because I clicked through from the direct edit button on that live page. So I can immediately go into the WYSIWYG editor if I want to. Notice the avatar up here as well. But let me show you a couple things before we edit this page. I'm going to open up this tree view, and notice it stays out of the way when I want it out of the way, and it enters the page if I want it to enter. We've improved this dramatically as well. But I want it, so I'm going to look here and I'm going to click through. I can click in just as I always did and open up these folders, but I don't have to now because I can go in and tree view nested deeply in here, go all the way down as far as I can, and still interact with other parts of this view which are still available to me. So we love tree view. We think this is going to help immensely. It speeds dramatically up some of the functionality that you've had in OU Campus for a long time. It makes it just that much better. But let me show you something else. Talking about how responsive this product is now, notice this tree view is expanded and kind of in my way, perhaps, if I've got a small window. In fact, let's shrink this window. And as I shrink it, that goes away. So if I've got a really wide monitor, I can expand this out really wide. I can open up the tree view. I can open up really wide pages. I can even open up the gadgets on the right and take advantage of the really wide monitors that are commonplace now. But if I don't, if I'm working with a really small monitor, I can still get in here and do quite a bit. If I stretch it back out, here we go. It comes right back. Right where I left it, it's there for me again. If I hide it, if I make it go away, it's not going to come back on its own. It's more intelligent, it's more application-like, it's more fluid, and it's quite responsive in so many ways. Okay, so let's go in and take a look at a few more things. I'm going to edit this page. And as I go in here, I can see that, as I always expect, I've got a WYSIWYG editor. It's highly customized in this case. I'm going to type right on the page. Galena University is a private university. Okay, that's good. Let me just save this. After I save it, the Publish button appears, just as I would expect, just as it always has. Super easy. Click the Publish button to publish the page. Notice the window's cleaned up dramatically, and I can run my final check just by clicking right here, and it runs and loads right in the window really simply, super clean, nice big icons, obvious if there's 2 spelling errors. I can click to see the spelling errors. We need to update our dictionary here, which we can easily do through the WYSIWYG editor. We've got no link errors found, some W3C validation errors, and no accessibility errors. So nice and clean, easy to use. If I want to schedule this page to go live later, I click in here. I've got a date picker, time picker, super easy. If I want to go live at noon today. That's all I need to do right there. And of course, social media. So I can tweet about this page as it's going live, and it'll create a hyperlink back to that page from Twitter. I can add a comment on my Facebook page, and it'll send that right back as a page link to my website as well. Super easy. Now, also notice that this is cleaned up dramatically. There's fewer buttons in here. I've got source editor at my fingertips, page properties, and different things, but I've also got under the publish button here. If I click, I can directly go to schedule or submit for approval. If I go to submit for approval, now here are my avatars for my users. And I can scroll through this list, but it gets better. Let's say I want to select from this list, and I don't know who, and I've got 100 people in this list. Let me just type in M-I. So it's filtering now, and it's showing me just those that match. And of course, I can clearly see their face and their avatar, and boom, there you go. So super easy now, and a great way to see how valuable these avatars have become throughout the product. When you're dealing with hundreds of users in the system, it's nice to figure out what's going on. Let's take a look at a couple more things here. Let me go to the page properties. Here we've got all the different parameters that we would normally adjust, multi-edit content, RSS, but here's some analytics. These are page level analytics. So like I showed you before, right now we can set the activity from since last publish, or last day, last month, last year, whatever. But if we set it by last publish, we can see just a subset of the Google Analytics data that have to do with this page since it was last published. But I can also see trends. I can see page views by version. And we're talking about this very page that we're looking at here. This version didn't do too well. This version did. So some really great stuff you can do now at a page level looking at these analytics. But let's go to the dashboard. Now, here on the dashboard, we see some familiar things. My current pages, these are pages that are checked out. I can click to check them back in. My inbox from emails that have been sent internally in the system. Notice the notification up here, my little badge showing me that there's one new something. In this case, it's one new email. And my activity feed showing various different activities that have gone on through the system. Page publishes, deletions, revert from trash, backup, etc. But I can drag these on the page. So if I don't like the order, simply drag, and it'll remember and keep the window positions that you had. So you can customize it just by dragging and dropping on the page. But I can do even more, because I can drag the site level analytics right up here to the top. Isn't that nice? So site level analytics built right into the dashboard. All right, let me go to the Content tab, second tab here now, and go down to Pages. Content tab looks very similar, but much improved, much cleaned up, as you'll notice here. What happened to all those hundreds of thousands of icons that were always right there in front of you when you were looking at this monster table of information? Well, it's all cleaned up, but it's still there. If I hover over a line, I can check this out. I've got all of my submenus here that I can, of course I can just click to edit, but I can go here and expressly say I want to edit the page, the source, the properties, the access. I can review, preview, version the page, check the page using page check, publish, schedule, expire. File operations. Now file operations got a lot easier. It's not just about drag and drop, it's about a variety of aspects in the UI that we've improved. For example, rename. Click it. Now I can just type right here to rename that file that easily. All right, let's talk about drag and drop. So if I want to move something around on this page, the old way to do it, of course, would be to go to the file action, move, and try to move it around. Well, now, guess what? I can just click on a file, and as I start to move it, notice it highlights the areas where it can be dropped. And if I let go, it asks me to confirm, and away it goes. So I've just moved that file into the About folder by dragging and dropping. Isn't that cool? Now it gets even better, because if I go here, let's say, and I want to take it out. Let's see, I dropped it into the About folder, didn't I? Take a look. There it is. Say I want to get it out, I just drag it back out here. And away it goes. So now it's here. And if I want to go deeply nested inside of a folder, like this resources folder, let me click deeper in here. And let's say I wanted to go into the resources config sections, drag it right over there. Ask me to confirm. Do I really want to move this file? Did I just accidentally click and drag? No, I really do. I can move it, and let's take a look. There it is. So it's super easy now to drag and drop files on the page. Let me hide this for a moment and show you a few more things. Let's say I want to drag multiple files. How do you do that? Well, I can just click a few here to select them and then drag. And notice now it's giving me this badge that shows me I've got 2 folders and 1 file. Let's add to that. Let's add a few more. 4 folders and 1 file. And again, if I just drop it into a folder, it'll ask me, do you really want to move these 5 files? And if I click move, that's where they'll go. Really, really simple now. Drag and drop is a reality in version 10. Let's take a look at a couple more things here while we're in the Content tab. Oh, I can, of course, click right up here to undo all of those selections. The New button is right where you'd expect it to be. And if I click the New button, I get what I would expect. I get a series of new page template icons that I can select from and start creating new pages or sections or folders. But I can do something even easier. And I'm going to show you something that we've always probably taught you never to do in OU Campus. I'm going to click the back button in the browser. And there you go. So now I can click the back button and the forward button, and I can bookmark pages and files and anything I'm doing in the product. I can send a person a link to a specific thing because everything, there's no frames, and everything is an addressable URL. Getting back to this New button, rather than clicking it, I can click here and select from, let's say, a 2-column page, and immediately begin creating this new page by filling it out, saving me a lot of steps and time and training to get there. All right, let's talk about dragging things from the desktop. I'm going to resize my window a little bit so I can see some things over here. Here I've got a PCF file. I want to bring that in. So I'm going to drag it over here and drop it right in, and there you go. Now I have this about.pcf that I just brought into the window. I can begin editing it, check it out, publish it, whatever I want to. It's that simple to drag and drop directly into the window. If I want to delete it, I can click, drag, and drag it up here to the trash if I want to too. It'll ask me to confirm, do I really want to drag that to the trash? Sure. But it gets even better because I can drag multiple files in here. So let me open up this images directory, and I've got some images over here. Let's go into resources, images. So here I've got a file. It's a JPEG image. Drag it over here, drop it, and do you notice it said uploading, and then uploading is completed super, super fast? That's because it did exactly that. It uploaded this binary into the staging server using both drag from desktop and the new binary manager. So if I click on preview here, I can see that file, I can publish that file, I could schedule it to be published, I could send it off into the workflow process or whatever I want to do. Let me click the back button again, and let's drag a few more in here. So let me see, let's drag all 3 of these over here. And boom, 1, 2, 3, upload completed. Here are all my files. I can preview them, and there you go. So super easy to upload files by dragging them, whether they're binaries, web pages, PCF files, XSL files, directly into the folder and the location that you want them to be in. I can also use the old-fashioned way if I want to, right? So here I'll click the upload icon. So now, just as you've trained everyone, they can go through and do this the old-fashioned way. They can manually go in here and start adding files, selecting them one at a time and adding them right here. They'll be able to use zip as well, but how about this? We'll make it easier. Let's select a bunch of files here and drag them right over there. How about that? So now I don't have to select them one at a time, but I can still go in, I can rename them, I can do all the things that I wanted to do. When I click Start Upload, boom, they go directly into that folder. Super easy. So you can drag and drop directly into a folder. You can drag and drop into specialized windows that help you retrain people or just show them an easier way, let's call it, on things that they already know and love in the product. One more thing I want to show you here. I've got a pretty good sized list of files here. Well, wouldn't it be nice to just show a subset of those? So here I can type in the filter. I can type in Galena. Notice as I start to type, it shows me different files that are, let's try shadow. So as I start to type things in, it starts to show me something that could be, let's see what else have we got, calculus, AM. So you can see I can quickly find just the files that I want through typing into this filter window. Let's show one more thing here under the Content tab. We were looking at pages, but we've got assets and blogs and find and replace, snippets, all the things that you're used to. Let's go to assets. Okay, so here are my assets. I've got nice icons showing me what type of asset they are. I've got asset type filtering. I've got all of the things that you're used to in the new releases of version 9 from last year. But we can do even more. Let's create a gallery, an LDP image gallery. And I'm just going to click New. From my drop-down, I've got one called Image Gallery. And here again, I can go and I can start adding images the old-fashioned way. But even easier, let's just drag them in. Boom. Created all the thumbnails for me, all automatically. I can drag these around if I want. Let's put this one up here. Reorder the image order for my gallery just that easily. So a huge simplification just because we now have this drag and drop functionality, not just into folders, but into various different functions and features that you use all the time. All right, let's take a look at reports, the next tab over here. All of our familiar reports are consolidated now into a simple reports tab that show me recent saves, recent publishes, maybe checked out content. Here's an easy list. And of course, all the things that I'm familiar with. Let's take a look at add-ons. So add-ons are still in version 10, and you can add some pretty cool functionality through the APIs. But all the old functionality is there as well. If you've got OU Calendar, if you've got a web style guide perhaps that you just wanted to plug in there, maybe you've got your new cloud interactive campus map. Just that simple. Okay, now I wanted to introduce our product manager, Shahab Lashkari, to show you a few more things for administrators. Shahab? Great.
Thank you. Thanks. Thank you, everybody. So I can tell you right now, it's been a huge honor of mine to be a part of this process. I mean, I've been with the company for about 3 years now, and I've seen OU Campus grow pretty heavily, and to see how much work has been put into version 10 has really just made me very proud. You can tell just by seeing this demo how much work has been put into the user experience. And hopefully it's very evident that that's really been the driving force here, is to make the user experience not only just better, but also very consistent from an end user perspective as well as from an administrator perspective. So as Lance just mentioned, we've pulled the reports out of, say, the admin tab or the setup tab and the various locations that they were before. And we've tried to consolidate things in the appropriate areas where you would expect to find them. So you'll notice that we have all these reports here in reports, and we've gotten rid of the admin tab, and we've actually consolidated the administrative functionality of the admin tab and the setup tab over on the right here. So what you can see is if I can go in here and pull up Lance's settings, hope he doesn't mind, I can go through and show you what some of the administrative functionality of OU Campus version 10 looks like. There are certain areas where you just have to have lots of information that you're collecting from the end user. And we've really tried to make this as simple and as easy to get access to as possible. You'll notice that we've broken out sections on the side here, so you can jump exactly to the section that you want to edit. Don't worry, you can still scroll through and get access to all of those in one big list if you want to just go through and type it all in. You'll notice that in the Setup tab, all of that stuff follows. So it's very consistent. It looks the same everywhere you go in the administrative side of things. I can jump through the account-wide settings. I can adjust the final check settings here. You'll also notice that other functionality, like here, the listing of sites, looks very familiar if you've been paying attention to what the file listing looks like. So we've tried to consolidate the UIs so that it's not an inconsistent look and feel as you jump from the day-to-day end user tasks to the actual administrative side of things. So here I can jump in and edit a specific site. I can manage my sites. I can still filter and do all of those things that you can do for pages, but from the administrative side of things as well. My list of users here, you'll notice that all of those avatars follow through here. So everywhere that the users are available in the system, whether it's sending a notification out to someone, editing users here, you'll notice that their avatars follow them if these have been configured. And we'll show you in another session today how to configure all of that. You'll also notice that it'll give me a nice icon if a user is locked out of the system. So if there have been too many login attempts and the system's locked them out, you can see that. And you'll notice that it gives me an option to reset that user right here. So we've tried to bring things as close to you as possible so that you can find exactly what you need to do and do it with fewer clicks. I also want to point out groups here. So I've got my list of groups. I happen to know that this academics group is empty, so I can jump in here and I want to start adding users to this. I can filter through and start looking for people by either full name or by username. And this is something that we've heard feedback several times is, I don't know everyone's username, but now you can actually find them not only by their full name, but also their picture. So it should be much easier to manage your very large lists of hundreds of users in some cases, to manage those and create groups and distribute those throughout the system. So I can just go ahead and select these. If I wanted to add everyone in, I could. But I want to show you something even cooler, in my opinion. So let me jump back to users. And now I say, OK, well, looking here, I want to grab everyone who's, say, a level 7. So I can just filter by 7. I can select all of these. And I can just hit Create Group right here and create a group with just those people in the system. So we've tried to make things much easier to have access to. We've tried to anticipate what your needs are and give you access to do those things whenever possible. Another thing I've been very proud of in the past is the fact that you don't have to be a programmer to administer OU Campus. Everything's always been a drop-down or a checkbox. Well, now, we've taken that even a step further. So let's look at, say, toolbars. In the past, you've had a bunch of checkboxes to turn on and off the various items in the toolbars. Well, let's go in. I have a strict toolbar. In fact, it's so strict it doesn't have any options at all in it. And so now I can either add everything onto my toolbar, or I can just bring in the exact items that I want, and I can actually choose exactly where I want them to go. I can drag and drop and move all of those around, and I can configure my custom toolbar in much the same way that you can do drag and drop of content throughout OU Campus. I'm going to go ahead and pass it back to Lance, and he can show you a little bit more. Thank you.
Great, thank you. So let's go back to, let's see. Let's go back to the Content Pages tab, and let's try to find that page. I'm going to go into Admissions, or is it Academics? I think it's, nope, it's the other one. Oh, you know what? I don't know how to find it. Let me go to the dashboard. I'm looking for a page, but I can't find it. Well, you know what? We haven't looked at this yet. What is this over here? Show Gadgets. OK, let's try that. Now, my current pages, this is what I'm looking for. It's the Future Students page. There you go. So it's now super easy to open up Gadgets and get functionality that is always at your fingertips. And it gets familiar really fast. It's responsive, just like the left sidebar is. If I resize these windows, these things go away. As I re-expand, if they were already expanded, they come back. So it's really, really simple now to access this functionality, and it's always there or it's always out of the way, depending upon your needs. So let's take a look at some of these gadgets. We just looked at My Current Pages, also something that's reflected in the dashboard. Activity. We've got activity here, just like in the dashboard, on pages that have been published, deleted, and more. Let's go ahead and check this page out and start editing it in the WYSIWYG editor. Well, look what just appeared over here in the gadgets. Something called images. I wonder what that does. Here we've got thumbnail images of some of my favorite images that I use over and over again. And guess what? If I go down here, let's click somewhere down here and open up a little space, I can, of course, drag and drop right onto that page, right from my favorite images in my gadgets. Isn't that cool? You can set this up and configure it any way you want to. So maybe it's logos that you use commonly or whatever else. Simply select the file that you want, drag it in, and then configure it to your liking. Drag it around on the page, resize it, have the text flow around it, whatever you might want to do. But those images are right there at my fingertips. Let's take a look at another one here. Analytics. So now I've got just kind of a heads-up display as I'm editing this page on page views, unique views, new views, average time on this page as I'm editing this page. But it gets even better because if I click right here, I get that little heads-up display that show me all the analytics with interactivity between the Twitter feed analytics and the Facebook feed analytics, the page views per version, not doing too well on this particular page, monthly views, etc. So I've got all of this right here at my fingertips, and I can expand and go in and see them in full size, and right as I'm editing this page, get the analytics that I need. All right, let's look at bookmarks. As I mentioned, everything in version 10 is an addressable URL, so I can also create bookmarks. Maybe it's a bookmark to a page that I edit frequently. Maybe it's a bookmark to an image. Maybe it's a bookmark to a report. Well, I can create my own bookmarks just by typing in a friendly name right here on whatever page I'm looking at, and it'll create a bookmark to that page. We've got something called quick tasks, something administrators will love. And of course, you can configure these so that only the right people get these. But this one allows me, let's say I'm editing a lot of XSL code in here, it allows me to quickly publish this page or discard those changes or view the primary products if I'm outputting PDFs and mobile and multiple versions of this page directly here from one click in a gadget. We've got basic page info telling me a little bit more about when this page was last modified, some of the products that this page outputs, dependencies. We've got another one for dependency links. Look at this one, Notepad. This is kind of cool. I can attach a note to this page. So this one says, hey, we got to update the future students page at least once a quarter. Don't forget to resize the image or whatever it is that I want to make a note of. So who's ever editing this page has a little friendly reminder right next to that page as they're editing it. The next one here is snippets. Look at this. Now, snippets are a great feature in version 9, but in version 10, they're even easier to use because in a gadget, I can see my snippets. If I click on one of these, I can actually see that snippet right here. Maybe it's a form or a privacy notification or whatever it is that's in this snippet, I can see it here in the gadget just by clicking on it. And then let's say I want to actually drag that into the page. How about that? We can take, let's say, a table, something kind of complex, and there you go. I just drag that in. It's all ready to go. It's editable. I can start typing away right in that table. So super easy to manage and use and allow end users to edit these or use these snippets directly while they're WYSIWYG editing a page. Here's a fun one, RSS Asset Generator. Now, if I click this, it's going to ask me for a URL. And I can drop in an RSS URL from anywhere on the web, and it'll immediately create a What's New Live for me. So I want to change the number of items to 5, and I can turn off these attributes here, but then I can preview it, and it shows me this RSS feed. I can then immediately create the asset and save it and drop it right in this page, directly while I'm editing it. We've got a URL shortener that uses a bit.ly, so I can paste in a URL, and boom, I get a shortened URL that I can then drop right on the page. And let me show you this one, YouTube. How cool is this? Let's say I've got a YouTube channel of videos that I use frequently. Well, here now are all of my YouTube videos that I use. Let's pick this one. Drag it, drop it right on the page, and get this. In the WYSIWYG, I see it, and I can even preview it right there. So this is actually playing right in. Can I get a little audio on that, John? So it's actually playing my YouTube video right in the page.
Well, we made the decision to replace our existing web content management system.
So your YouTube channel is now managed directly, or is available to you, I should say, right here in a gadget while you're editing pages. Really, really cool. So those are gadgets. But we didn't stop there. Because we have these great APIs, we knew that we could do a lot more. Gadgets were just the beginning. We know that you and us, we're going to be creating all kinds of cool functionality and other applications that directly work with OU Campus for the first time. We think this is going to be really cool. And one of the things that we did was we created a mobile app. So we call it OU Campus Mobile. And it allows you anywhere, anytime, OU Campus administration. And it'll ship with version 10. So no extra cost, this just comes with it. It gives you a mobile version of the administrative features that you use most in OmniUpdate. So on any iPhone, Android, or other smart device, it looks like this. And it's version 10 APIs combined with jQuery Mobile to give you this great mobile app. Here's what it looks like on the login screen, and here's what you can do with it. So you've got basic site stats, page stats, group stats, user stats. You've got the ability to manage users. Notice the avatars are there. The same avatars in version 10, right there on the mobile device. You can modify users, create groups. You can add and remove users to groups. You can even unlock locked users, a commonly requested feature. How do I unlock a user that logged in with the wrong password too many times? Well, now, even if you're not at your desk, you can quickly unlock that user as soon as you get that request or that notification. And so much more you can do with this great mobile app. So that's version 10, and it's coming this summer, and we are really, really excited about it. There's some important dates, and I wanted to talk about the upgrade migration path here. So these are the dates that are important to remember. The beta begins shortly. If you're interested in beta testing with us, come talk to us, let us know, and we'll get your hands on it so that you can help us beta test it. We've got training videos that will be coming out in June. We put together a series of these training videos so that you can show beginner, intermediate, and advanced level training on version 10. Then we're going to also have live sandboxes in June so that you can kick the tires, use it with a Galena University example without editing your own website. And also in June, we're going to give you live test drives so you can start, if you want, using it with your own site. Not in beta, but actually as a final test for you before you go live. And then we're going to start migrating customers beginning this summer. And we're going to have first come, first serve. So if you raise your hand, you don't have to raise your hand right now, but raise your hand this summer. Let us know that you want to be moved into version 10. And the process is simple. You tell us, we click a checkbox. The next morning, you're running version 10. So no pain, no fuss, super easy. We want to complete this process. We want to get everybody moved into version 10 at your own pace. We don't want to force it on you all at the beginning of the summer, but we do want it to end by the end of the year. We don't want to leave anybody behind in version 9. Normally, in every upgrade we've done, version 7, 8, 9, prior to that even, we just did it. We told you it was coming, and then we did it to everybody all at once. This time, we realized that you might want to kick the tires a little bit more. You might want to teach a few people what's coming. So we're going to give you this big window of opportunity. But we are going to want to get you moved in by the end of the year. We think you're going to love it. There's no reason to think that there's anything here that wouldn't be considerably better than what you've been using. And it's just so much the same as it always has been. So that's version 10. And as we like to do, we made a little video.
What's my favorite thing about version 10? Everything.
Everything.
Everything. Everything.
Everything.
Everything. Everything. Everything.
Everything. The refreshed user interface is amazing. The OU Campus interface that you know and love is now more modern and more user-friendly.
The new UI truly takes advantage of screen real estate. On a typical widescreen, version 10 gives you a much larger workspace. Plus, you have easy access to a wealth of tools in the side panels.
Not only is the refreshed UI modern and easy to use, it's also responsive. When you need to use less screen space, you're still able to access everything you need.
The refreshed UI makes editing a breeze. It's fast, efficient, and even more intuitive than any prior version of OU Campus.
Version 10 offers many new features in the form of gadgets. We will be adding more and more gadgets in the future based on your requests. Just ask us, is there a gadget for that?
With the new Images gadget, you'll be able to drag an image from the sidebar and drop it directly on the page. It doesn't get easier than drag and drop.
My favorite new gadget is definitely the ability to run multi-channel analytics. This great new feature gives you page-level analytic information instantly.
Analytics give users the ability to monitor their individual pages without having to go to someone else. And to content contributors, page-level analytics can be so much more useful than site-level analytics.
As a CMS, OU Campus has access to so much internal analytic information that's not available to Google Analytics alone. For instance, the new Analytics gadget can tell you how many hits you've received on a specific version of a specific page.
Page-level analytics also matches up information from your social media efforts. You'll be able to see how many times a page has been shared, retweeted, and more.
As a developer, I'm most excited about the development of APIs. Version 10 is just the beginning of our long-term vision to extend the capabilities of OU Campus as a platform. We'll be developing new gadgets and other functionality using these APIs, and so can you.
Because you will be able to use the APIs to add gadgets and other modules using version 10, we're excited to see what you'll come up with.
The possibility of building a developer community is one of the most exciting things about the release of version 10.
Version 10 is taking OU Campus to the next level. It's faster, more efficient, and easier to use. We know you're going to love it.
So that's version 10, and we can't wait. We're really excited about this. Lunch begins right now. Hurry on over to the garden room. Thank you.